Imagine it is late. The halls of the school are no longer filled with the chatter of students, but with a heavy, oppressive silence. The fluorescent lights hum with a rhythmic buzz, flickering against the linoleum floors. You are alone. Or at least, you should be. Nature calls, and you find yourself in the oldest wing of the building, a place where the air feels colder, and the shadows seem to stretch further than they ought to. You enter the restroom and head for the last stall. In Japan, they say to avoid the fourth one. The number 4, she is a homophone for death. You finish your business. You reach out for the toilet paper, but your hand finds only empty cardboard. And then, from the stall next to you, comes a voice. It is deep, unsettling, and impossibly calm. Would you like red paper or blue paper? In that moment, you realize you haven't just run out of paper. You have entered a ritual. You have met Aka Manto, the red cape, and your next words will determine exactly how you die. Aka Manto is not a ghost that simply haunts. He is a supernatural interrogator who weaponizes the very concept of binary choice. He waits until you are at your most vulnerable, isolated, partially undressed, and physically immobile, within the liminal space of a bathroom stall. It is here, usually in the 4th stall, a number synonymous with death in Japan, that the air grows heavy and the fatal question is posed. If you answer red paper or red cloak, your end is a visceral explosion of color. The spirit does not merely kill you. He uses your body as the raw material to fulfill your request. In the most common accounts, Aka Manto uses a blade to slash, stab, or lacerate your body so violently that blood sprays across the walls, soaking your clothes until they are drenched a brilliant crimson. You are left wearing a red mantle of your own gore. Some versions are even more gruesome, suggesting he flays the skin from your back in a single motion, leaving it to hang behind you like a literal cape of flesh. It is a quick death, but one of absolute, bone-chilling carnage. Choosing blue paper offers no mercy, only a different aesthetic of horror. This path is often described as a slow death. In this scenario, Aka Manto may wrap his spectral hands around your throat, strangling you with inhuman force until the oxygen leaves your lungs and your face turns a ghastly, suffocating shade of blue. Other regional variations describe a more vampiric process. The spirit drains every single drop of blood from your veins. Without the warmth of life, your body becomes a cold, pale, bluish-white husk slumped against the porcelain. The red cape has little patience for those who try to outsmart the ritual. Many students, paralyzed by the legend, try to navigate a middle ground by choosing a third color. But Aka Manto's logic is a closed system of execution. If you ask for yellow paper, the spirit resorts to a form of poetic, filthy justice. He will seize you and force your head into the toilet bowl you were just using, holding you there until you drown in the stagnant yellow-tinged water. Requesting any other color, purple, green, or orange, frequently results in a terrifying environmental shift. The floor of the stall may crack open, and ghostly hands, sometimes said to be the hands of Hanakosen, acting as his assistant, will emerge to drag you screaming into the underworld or the yellow spring of hell, never to be seen again. In rare and unsettling variations, the choice is between red and white. While red results in a giant tongue rising to lick the victim, white results in a pale, ghostly hand rising from the depths of the toilet to stroke or fondle the victim's behind. To understand the terror of the red cape, we must first peel back the layers of its identity. Aka Manto did not manifest fully formed in the bathroom stalls of modern Japan. Instead, he is a creature of linguistic drift and cultural evolution, a bogeyman that has changed its skin to match the shifting anxieties of every generation. Long before he became a phantom of the restroom, Aka Manto was a creature of the school's subterranean depths. Around 1935, in an elementary school in Osaka City, the first whispers began not of a toilet ghost, but of a mysterious man in a cloak who would appear in the shadows of the basement. In these early accounts, he was interested in your choice of paper. He was a silent predator lurking near. Clog boxes or shoe lockers. representing the hidden dangers of the school, most isolated, unlit corners. By 1937, the rumor had migrated to Tokyo, merging with darker, more violent imagery. This spread was relentless. By 1940, the legend had traveled to Katatsushu and even reached the Korean peninsula, carried by Japanese elementary students living under Japanese rule. It was during this migration that the spirit underwent its most fascinating transformation, the linguistic metamorphosis of the manto. The word manto is a loanword from the Portuguese manto or French manteau. In the 1930s, when the urban legend was born, the word did not describe the long flowing superhero cape we imagine today. Instead, it referred to a traditional, sleeveless kimono style jacket or vest, known as a hanten or chenchenko. Early storytellers visualized the spirit as a man in a red traditional vest, a look that felt distinctly grounded in the era's common outerwear. However, as Japan modernized and Western fashion became the standard, the visual perception of the spirit evolved. The manto drifted away from the kimono jacket and toward the dramatic, full-length hooded cloak of Western Gothic horror. This shift ensured the spirit remained terrifying, while the hanten grew to feel like a relic of the past. The masked figure in a heavy, blood-red cape became a timeless icon of the unknown. One of the most surprising influences on the legend's evolution was the kamishibai, or paper play, a form of Japanese street theater popular during the Great Depression. There was a popular play at the time titled Aka Manto, created by Koji Kata. It featured a gentleman wizard in a red cloak who took a shoeshine boy as his apprentice. Folklorists believe that children likely mixed this harmless story of a cloaked wizard with real-world reports of violent crimes, such as the rumored murder of a young girl in the Yanaka district of Tokyo. This mixture of fiction and reality created such a panic in Osaka that the police eventually confiscated the kamishibai boards to stop the spread of the rumors. The image of the gentleman in a red cloak was no longer entertainment. It had become a trigger for mass hysteria. In almost every modern variation, Aka Manto is described as wearing a white theatrical mask to hide his face. But what lies beneath? The legend offers a haunting backstory of vanity and gendered vengeance. Aka Manto was said to have been a student of incredible, haunting beauty. A young man so handsome that he was hounded relentlessly by flirtatious teenage girls. Smothered by their attention, he began wearing a mask to hide his face, seeking refuge in the most private place he could find, the last stall of the female bathroom. It is there that he supposedly died under mysterious circumstances. After death, his spirit returned to exact vengeance upon the very gender that had hounded him in life. This explains why the legend is so frequently tied to female restrooms. His interrogation is a way to reclaim the power he lost, forcing his victims to look at him and acknowledge his gift before their end. Beyond the gore and the masks, the evolution of Aka Manto mirrors the internal pressure of the Japanese educational system. Scholars point out that the ritualized choice between red or blue paper is a supernatural metaphor for the impossible question. To a student, the spirit's binary trap feels like a high-stakes entrance exam where every answer leads to a bloody failure. He is the personification of academic anxiety, the feeling that even if you follow the rules and make a choice, the system is rigged to ensure your destruction. By evolving from a basement bogeyman into a bathroom interrogator, Aka Manto has become a permanent fixture of the school environment, waiting in the stall to remind every student that the most private choices can have the most public, visceral consequences. Every nightmare has a heartbeat, a pulse that once belonged to the world of the living before it was consumed by legend. To understand the spirit of Aka Manto, we must peer through the fog of time to see the real blood spilled on the soil of Japan, where the line between a man in a cloak and a monster from the void first began to blur. The most chilling foundation of this myth dates back to 1906 in Sakai City, within the Fukui Prefecture. Long before the Red Cape haunted school stalls, there was the Agetto or Blue Blanket murder case. A mysterious man in his 30s, wearing a red or blue blanket over his head, appeared as a messenger at the home of Kaga Murayoshi. With a sophisticated and predatory ruse, he claimed a wealthy relative was deathly ill and needed urgent help, successfully luring Murayoshi, his wife Tsuo, and his mother Kiku into the darkness. While the family's children were narrowly saved by suspicious neighbors, the parents were never seen alive again. Their bodies were later found floating in the Takeda River, but the man in the blanket vanished into history, never to be caught. This unresolved trauma likely transformed the physical perpetrator into a vengeful, cloaked entity in the collective memory of the region. As the legend migrated toward the capital, it underwent a macabre urban metamorphosis. In the early 1900s, specifically in the Kubo neighborhood of Tokyo, localized panics were fueled by reports of a red cloak vampire. Terrifying accounts surfaced of corpses being discovered in the city's shadows, their bodies completely drained of blood or marked by violent, animalistic attacks. This specific iteration of the legend reflects a unique intersection where Western Gothic horror met the growing anxieties of a burgeoning, anonymous metropolis. The fear was no longer just of a murderer, but of a predatory spirit that required the very life essence of its victims to sustain its crimson attire. Perhaps the most provocative layer of the Aka Manto story is its use as a tool for psychological warfare. During the heightened tensions of the World War II era, a theory emerged that the legend was actually a manufactured rumor designed to destabilize the social order. Known as the socialist banker hypothesis, it posits that activists or political subversives intentionally disseminated stories of a red-caped killer targeting schools to incite a domestic panic by weaponizing the fear of parents. They aimed to undermine public trust in the police and the state, as ability to protect its most vulnerable citizens, its children. This theory is grounded in real historical events, such as a 1939 report in the Yomiuri Shimbun detailing the arrest of a communication employee, Tomonori Tsune, for spreading malicious rumors about the assassination of the Prime Minister and the existence of a blood-sucking, Red Cape hunchback. Whether the Red Cape was a spirit or a strategy, it became a symbol of the other, lurking in the fractures of a society under extreme pressure. Aka Manto is the final synthesis of these real-world horrors, a ghost born from unsolved murders, urban Gothic fear, and the cold calculations of political panic. Why are Japanese bathrooms so haunted? To understand Aka Manto, we must understand the toilet gods of old Japan. During the Edo period, toilets were dangerous, dark pits. People worshipped deities like the Rukar Kamui for protection against falling in and drowning. Waste was also tied to agriculture and fertility, making the toilet a fertile ground for spiritual activity. As Japan modernized and toilets became sterile, isolated stalls, these benevolent guardians were replaced by malevolent yokai. Aka Manto is a corrupted guardian of the threshold. In the cold geometry of the bathroom stall, humanity's greatest instinct, the need to solve a problem, becomes our greatest weakness. To encounter Aka Manto is to be placed inside a closed system of execution. Most people believe that when a spirit asks a question, there must be a correct answer. But with the Crimson Interrogator, the only way to win is to realize that the question itself is a lie. Many believe they can defeat the legend through simple foresight. They carry their own rolls of paper, tucked into backpacks or pockets, thinking they have bypassed the spirit's leverage. But Aka Manto is not a physical being bound by the laws of matter. He is a manifestation of the impossible question. Folklorists and survivors note a terrifying phenomenon. The moment you sit upon the toilet in the fourth stall, any paper you brought with you, no matter how securely held, will mysteriously vanish. The spirit ensures your isolation is total. He strips away your material defenses until you are left with nothing but his voice and your choice. You cannot outsupply a ghost who controls the very space you occupy. If you attempt to flee the moment you hear that deep, unsettling voice, you may find the laws of physics have realigned against you. In many accounts, the moment the question is posed, the stall door, previously loose and swinging, will refuse to budge. It becomes as solid as the school's foundation, trapping you in a cage of porcelain and shadows. Even if the door remains unlocked, some versions of the legend describe Aka Manto physically blocking the exit, his tall, cloaked frame filling the doorway, his white mask reflecting the flickering fluorescent light. In this liminal space, time and distance are distorted. The hallway outside might look miles away, or the exit may simply cease to exist until the ritual is resolved. So, how does one walk away from the red cape? You must understand the weaponization of consent. Aka Manto requires your participation to transform your body into his aesthetic vision. He is a homicidal dealmaker who needs you to accept a gift. The only verified method of survival is the absolute rejection of the spirit's logic. You must look into the shadows and state firmly, "I don't need any paper," or "I don't want either." By refusing the item, you deny the spirit the consent he requires to act. You break the contract of the ritual. In some accounts, staying perfectly silent, finishing your business without a word, and calmly walking out of the restroom is effective. If you do not acknowledge the spirit's presence, you remain outside his system of reality. However, be warned, survival is not always an end to the nightmare. Ancient Kyoto traditions suggest that those who escape the stall may carry a part of the encounter with them. It is said that if you survive and tell your story to others, a shadow will fall over your life. You may fall into a deep, inexplicable illness, or find yourself followed by the faint scent of old paper and copper, a reminder that the Crimson Interrogator is merely waiting for your next moment of isolation. Today, Aka Manto has transcended the schoolyard. He is a fixture of global pop culture. In the 2021 sensation Squid Game, the recruiter offers a choice between a red and blue tile. The show's director confirmed this was a direct homage to the Aka Manto legend, a signal that the characters were entering a world where choices are rigged and deadly. The indie horror studio Chilla gave the legend a modern face in their 2019 game. They created a tragic backstory for the spirit, naming him Atsushi, a student driven to suicide by bullying and an abusive father. This reimagining connects the ancient ghost to modern social crises like Ijime bullying, keeping the fear relevant for a new generation. He has appeared as a demon in Shin Megami Tensei, a boss in World of Horror, and a recurring nightmare in countless anime ghost stories. Aka Manto persists because he mirrors our deepest anxieties. He is the personification of the impossible question, the feeling of being a student faced with a test where every answer feels like a death sentence. He reminds us that we are most vulnerable in our most private moments. He is the ghost of the liminal space, the voice that reminds us that our privacy is an illusion, and our choices are only as free as the system that offers them. So, the next time you find yourself in a dimly lit restroom, if the light flickers, and if you find the paper is missing, don't listen for the voice, don't look for the mask, and whatever you do, don't choose a color, because some choices are better left unmade.